For all practical purposes, Dana White runs the MMA world, with almost all the top fighters signed to his promotion. Many casual fans don't even know that MMA is a thing, instead they just call it UFC. After years of dabbling in boxing, White might be making his biggest move yet. Saudi advisor Turki Al-Sheikh, who's been making waves in boxing, wants to bring the UFC model to boxing to create big fights. Boxing promoters have long envied the UFC's dominance in MMA because they've struggled to organize the biggest fights.
What Ultimate Fighting is a sport of fighting. What you guys don't understand, you guys are a dying breed. You boxing guys, oh, it's humans cockfighting. What you don't understand is your sport is getting swallowed.
But with Turki Al-Sheikh in charge of Riyadh season, major events are happening more easily now. There's a ton of money available in these Saudi super fights, and they've been organizing major events quickly since October. This has led to promoters who usually don't get along working together. Matchroom's Eddie Hearn and Queenberry's Frank Warren, who had a long-standing feud, are now working together. They recently hosted a big 5 vs 5 event where their fighters competed against each other. The belief that UFC's monopoly makes fights easier comes from the fact that Dana White's promotion has most of the best fighters, a clear ranking system, and recognized championship belts. According to a Reuters report, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund led to Turki Al-Sheikh wanting to create a league that brings all the major boxing promoters together under a $4 to $5 billion structure. Currently, different promoters have fighters with titles from the 4 main governing bodies. There's the WBA, the WBO, the IBF, and the WBC. However, there have been more unifications recently, with 8 divisions now having undisputed champions. It was just last month where, for the first time since the early 2000s, the heavyweight division was unified. Alexander Usyk defeated Tyson Fury to unify all 4 belts, and Riyadh season offering them an undisputed belt. Matchroom Boxing and Golden Boy Promotions are reportedly involved in talks for this new league, and the valuation for this league, which could unite major promoters, could be around $4 to $5 billion. Now, the league idea sounds a lot like the UFC or the WWE for you history buffs. Vince McMahon Jr. turned WWE into a global powerhouse by merging all the smaller regional wrestling territories towards the end of the 20th century. The reason that the UFC and the WWE have become so valuable is because of their dominance. They merged under the TKO group earlier this year, with UFC valued at around $12 billion and the WWE at about $7 billion. Now, this is where things get interesting, because Dana White, who played a big role in making the UFC what it is today, has hinted that he might also get into boxing with this new league. He told Sports Business Journal that partnering with Turki Al-Sheikh is a real possibility, and that Al-Sheikh is the only one who can make it happen. If you take a step back and you just observe what has happened with the UFC and combat sports in general over the last few years, you see the lines beginning to blur. Whether it's YouTube boxers like Jake Paul or UFC fighters like Ronda Rousey or Brock Lesnar going back to the WWE, the lines between all the different entertainment leagues and combat sports is beginning to become blurred and almost unified. But what do you guys think about Dana White and possibly even the UFC getting involved on a larger scale with Riyadh season or boxing in general? Is this something that should be avoided, or is this just the future of the sport as a whole? Now, speaking of lines being blurred, here's another example. UFC champion Sean O'Malley announces a business partnership with Jake Paul after his MMA challenge and face-off stunt. UFC bantamweight champion Sugar Sean O'Malley is now teaming up with Jake the Problem Child Paul for a lucrative new kind of partnership. At the start of this week, Jake Paul and UFC bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley were talking about fighting each other in MMA, and it ended with the pair confirming a new business partnership together. It was over the weekend that Sean O'Malley confirmed that not only was he to become a business partner to the infamous social media star turned boxer, but that he actually is a co-owner of Jake Paul's latest business venture. The company is called W, and it's set to launch in August of 2024. It's going to be a number of men's personal care products that are going to be exclusively sold at Walmart, including body wash, body spray, deodorant, hair gels, and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioners. O'Malley took to Instagram to announce the partnership, posting an image of himself in a bathtub of W branded products with the following caption: W co-owner, bathing in all its glory. I smell like 1,000 roses having sex right now. O'Malley went on to say, these products are made for champions and that live life to the fullest, like me. Vitamin infused to help the 60 to 70% of young men who are deficient in vitamin D and magnesium, and we took out all the weird ingredients our competitors have. Jake and I together will save the smelly. Go to your local Walmart now and run this up, baby. Jake Paul also posted a congratulatory announcement message to his page in which he welcomed O'Malley to the W team, saying, "For those who keep asking if we're fighting, the answer is yes. We're fighting odor and sweaty armpits. The legend, the undefeated UFC champ as our first W co-owner announcement. Sean is the definition of a walking W. We built a savage team of W Avengers filled with the best athletes, artists, and influencers." Guys, this is what I'm talking about. The borders and lines that used to separate the WWE from the UFC and boxing and entertainment, it's all becoming one. For all the people that complain about the UFC becoming too much like the WWE, this is a clear example of things going in the wrong direction. Now, I don't have much of a problem with this to a certain degree. I want the sport to be entertaining. I want there to be entertaining storylines, but consider me old-fashioned because at the end of the day, I still want what I'm watching to be real. I want the stories to be real. I want the beefs to be real. I want the drama to be real. But I understand why the UFC is going in this direction. You have to create stars, you have to create personalities, and fighters are wanting to create brands outside of the sport. Former UFC champions Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman make an argument for Conor McGregor pulling out of UFC 303 as being a good move. Discussing via the Pound for Pound YouTube channel, former UFC double champion Henry Cejudo and former welterweight king Kamaru Usman broke down this view, with Triple C in the particular noting that he believes the fight cancellation is positive for Conor.
Yeah, let me put it to you this way, Kamaru. Conor McGregor, the fact that Conor McGregor has to pull out, that's actually a really good sign. You know what I'm saying? What do I mean by that? Is he's probably killing a little bit of his ego, and now he's taking it a lot more serious than ever. So it's also an experience for him. So the way that I'm taking it to Kamaru was like, they're gonna fight. I think he's at that point where I want to make sure that I'm 100%. Like this comeback to me is real. I'm not sure how you're taking it, Kamaru, but that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, there's no such thing as 100%. As fighters, we always go in there with bumps and bruises. If you can get in there at closer to 80, that makes that almost any fighter is going to be happy with something like that. But obviously, you're right. It's something that's significant enough for Conor McGregor to say, you know what? I want to put out the best possible product out there for all the fans and all the people who have been waiting for my return. I want to put out the best me that I can. So I have to push this back because I am not able to give that right now based on whatever injury that happened, whether, who knows? It could have been a cut. It could have still been the leg. It doesn't matter. But, for him to say, you know what, I'm going to sit for a little bit. I'm going to push this back and just prepare myself a little bit more. It does say a lot, Henry. I agree with you. But on the flip side, Michael Chandler now once again is sitting, twiddling his thumbs. There's a lot of things that go into a fight like this. There's a lot of preparation. And Michael Chandler seems like he's been doing all of that. He's got a lot of things, going on here, riding on this fight, riding on this circus. And it seems like it just continues to be pulled from, away. It's like dangling a carrot in front of him. And they've been doing that now for a while. So I feel for Michael Chandler as well.
Yeah, no, of course, man. And I think now it's funny, man. Was it Trailblazer? Kevin Holland posted a picture of on his Instagram of Michael Chandler looking so old, dude. It looks so real, dude. Like with the graphics nowadays, it's super hilarious. But it shows him all kind of old, white, white beard, white, just wrinkled everywhere, with just waiting for Conor. But it's what it is. I do believe Conor is ready, and I think at this point, I mean, it's all going to prepare both men. To be 100%. Yeah,
it sucks, but it is what it is. It has to happen. I actually have to say, good on Conor for being able to say, you know what, I'm not prepared enough to go in there, because there's some guys that would jump in there, whether they're closer to 80 or not. They jump in there. So, yeah. And Michael Chandler, this is just more time for you to prepare. This should make you, of course, I know it sucks, but this should make you even hungrier. This should make you even more upset and prepare a lot more. So when you do get that opportunity to go in there, you're able to, take full advantage of that. that time.
Superstar welterweight Michael Venom Page wants to fight for the UFC title next, but he's also got his eye on a former champion to secure that shot. Despite making his UFC debut earlier this year, fan favorite striking specialist Michael Venom Page is set to be catapulted into welterweight title contention should he get a statement win over divisive Irish contender Ian Garry. After creating an already iconic legacy over in Bellator, Venom Page burst onto the UFC scene earlier this year as he scored a unanimous decision victory over veteran Kevin Holland. Now the flashy striker is only a few weeks away from his highly anticipated return to action, this time to face surging contender Ian Garry, and it's safe to say that MVP is looking forward to putting his hands on the future. Speaking via his official YouTube channel, Page sent out an ominous message to Garry as he made a bold prediction for how the fight will play out.
When you close your eyes and you envision this fight playing out, how do you give him the very first loss of his career?
It's interesting because I've got about 10 different ways to hurt this guy, and they're all horrible. So he can pick.
The two fighters have gone back and forth with some choice words for one another in recent weeks, but when comparing the skills in and out of the cage, here's what MVP had to say about Ian Garry.
Ian Garry, let's go back to him for a sec. You've been going back and forth a little bit. I feel like, you have been wanting this fight. Maybe, it's something that can propel you into that top 5. You're not here for a long time, but for a good time. How long has this kind of guy been on the radar in terms of once you entered the UFC and signed for the UFC about fighting him?
To be fair, his name was always going to be up there just because, he's an Irish guy he's doing really well. After this last fight that I've had, he's obviously 7th, which is my lucky number, actually. So that was another reason why I was like, yep, I want that. And like you say, it propels me into the top 5. So it's exactly where I want to be. I don't want to waste any time. Kevin Holland as a first fight for anybody is a crazy first fight. People saw what I did there, so I just know my ability. I'm comfortable with anybody up there, so I'm just looking to just get there as quickly as possible.
What have you made of Ian Garry, the fighter in the cage, and then Ian Garry, the personality, in terms of how he's promoted himself so far on his UFC run?
Yeah, I think he's actually a talented fighter. So yeah, I think nothing that I haven't seen before, but is a talented fighter. But in terms of his personality, I don't know if it feels a bit fake. It feels a bit like he's just trying too hard to be famous. And I think, people don't like that, which is why he's got such a negative appeal online. I don't read into it too much. I don't really care. He's just another step on the ladder to get to the top. So, we're going to have a little bit of bants, which I like to do anyway, a little bit back and forth, which, creates some more excitement for the fight. But end of the day, it's what happens in the cage.
The 37-year-old noted that his ideal path to UFC gold would be to finish Garry before taking on his fellow British superstar Leon Edwards for an all-UK showdown at the start of 2025. Yet MVP is acutely aware that he might need one more statement win in order to secure a shot at the 170-pound title. And for that fight, he's got his eyes set on former champion Kamaru Usman.
The best case scenario here, you show out, you defeat Ian Garry, give him the very first loss of his career, parlay that straight into a trip to Manchester, sit there cage side, let Leon and Belal do their thing, and of course if Leon wins, you get what you told me that you wanted at the beginning of the year, is an all UK showdown, Leon versus MVP for that welterweight championship. Is that the dream scenario here?
100% that's the dream scenario. I believe there'll be one more fight in between. If I want to bring it back to the UK, there'll most likely be one more fight, and then obviously they usually do a show like, I don't know, March or something. So if I can get one more fight by the end of the year, that would be perfect. Perfect way to sign off the year. Exactly as you say, finish Ian, maybe ask for like an Usman, get a big fight next. He's number 1 ranked. Again, like I said, there's no point wasting time. Let's jump up, let's go. Ask for like a Usman, if he's, happy to go, we go. Make that win, get that win, and then there's no debate after that. It's like, no, I deserve the belt. But again, it's weird how things shift and move. So potentially the next fight could be Leon, but I will be there at Manchester just to watch.
Now let's take a look at the top 3 comments left on yesterday's video. At James White says, wow, 2024, the year of big fights that will never happen. First, Tyson versus Paul went to hell. Now McGregor versus Chandler is off. What big fight won't happen next? Well, the Tyson fight would have probably been quick. I was just looking forward to seeing Paul's fighting career go out like his lights from a Tyson hook uppercut combo. At Sean J says, Conor McGregor is a true fighter, so I would have chosen option B. He could have walked away from fighting after he got over $100 million for boxing Mayweather, but he didn't, and instead came back to face his kryptonite, an undefeated wrestler. He risked it all to face Khabib, which is a terrible style matchup for him, and he continued on fighting because he cares about legacy and loves to fight. At Ghost0723 says, guys, I dislike Conor as much as the next guy, but injuries do happen, especially after a long time off. Flexibility, mobility issues, they're unavoidable once you take that much time off. Dude was drinking heavy right up until camp. A lot of people saw this coming. If you want your comments highlighted on tomorrow's video, simply comment down below. We'll highlight the top best comments, good, bad, or indifferent, and feature them in tomorrow's video. And that does it for today's video, but make sure you're liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and clicking the bell notification so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. And in case you missed it, check out yesterday's news.